She woke up reaching for him before she even opened her eyes. That was the first thing Lily remembered about the worst day of her life, her hand moving across cool, empty sheets, searching for a man who, by the time the sun finished rising over the city, would no longer exist. Not missing, not hiding, erased. 24 hours earlier, she had married him in front of 300 guests, under a canopy of white orchids, in a ballroom that cost more than most people's homes. Adrian Cole, 36 years old, founder and CEO of Halcyon Dynamics, a technology company whose name alone could move markets. He had proposed on a rooftop in Singapore with the entire skyline glittering behind him. And Lily, an architect who built things meant to last centuries, had said yes to a man she thought would last just as long. She had no idea she was about to marry a ghost. The first sign came quietly. She reached for her phone to look at their wedding photos, the ones taken just hours before, and found the album empty. Not deleted empty, as though it had never been filled. She dismissed it as a glitch. Cloud storage failed sometimes. People made mistakes. Then she called his office. The receptionist, polite and unbothered, told her there was no Adrian Cole at Halcyon Dynamics. There never had been. The CEO, she said, was a man named Richard Voss, and he had held that position for 6 years. Lily laughed. It was the kind of laugh that comes out when your brain refuses to process what your ears just heard. She drove to the headquarters herself, past the glass tower she had visited a dozen times, past the lobby where she used to wait for him with coffee in hand. The security guard at the front desk looked at her with something close to pity when she said his name. He checked the system twice. Nothing. Not an employee badge. Not an email. Not a photograph on any wall, though she remembered standing beneath his portrait just weeks before. By evening, her sister was calling doctors. The psychiatrist used words like acute stress reaction and grief-induced delusion, gentle words meant to soften something that felt like an accusation. Lily sat in a paper gown under fluorescent light, insisting she wasn't losing her mind, while every piece of evidence in the room seemed to suggest otherwise. Her marriage certificate, when she finally located it in a drawer, listed her as married to no one. The groom's name field was blank, as if it had simply been left that way from the start. Grief has a way of making people doubt their own memory. But Lily remembered the weight of his hand in hers. She remembered his laugh, low and unhurried, and the small scar above his eyebrow he never explained. Ghosts don't leave scars you can trace with your fingertip. That night, unable to sleep in a bed that suddenly felt too large, she went looking not for comfort, but for proof. In the back of his closet, behind a row of tailored suits, she found a box she had never noticed before. Inside it, 3 encrypted flash drives, a passport with a name she didn't recognize, and a single photograph of Adrian standing beside a woman Lily had never met. Both of them years younger, both of them looking like people running from something. She didn't sleep that night. She barely breathed. The first drive was locked behind a password she never guessed. The second held nothing but static, corrupted on purpose, she would later learn. But the third opened with a phrase only the two of them would ever know the name of the street where they had their first date, typed exactly the way he used to write it in his messages. He had left her a door. He had known, somehow, that one day she would need it. It took her 4 more days to work through everything behind that door, holed up in a rented apartment because she could no longer stand to be inside their home. What she found wasn't a love letter or a confession. It was a map, financial records, shell companies, names of executives connected to a firm called Aurelia Systems, a company whose true business had nothing to do with technology and everything to do with control. Aurelia didn't just manage data, it erased it. For the right price, they could make a person's debts disappear, their criminal record vanish, their entire legal identity dissolve as though it had never been written. Politicians used them, fugitives used them. So, It turned out, did people far more dangerous than either. She wasn't alone in piecing it together. A name kept surfacing in the files: Marcus Webb, an internal auditor at Aurelia, who had once been Adrian's closest friend from business school. When Lily finally tracked him down, he was living 2 states away under a name that wasn't his own, jumpy at every knock on the door. He told her things Adrian's files couldn't. That Adrian hadn't stumbled onto Aurelia by accident. He had gone looking for them on purpose 3 years earlier, after a woman he'd once loved vanished from every record the same way he eventually would. Marcus believed Adrian never stopped trying to find out what happened to her. Lily realized, with a cold and sudden clarity, that she wasn't the first person Adrian had loved and lost to this machine. She was the first one he managed to save from it. Marcus warned her to stop digging. He said 2 other journalists who'd gotten close to Aurelia had simply stopped existing online themselves, their bylines wiped clean as if they'd never written a word. He begged her to walk away, to let the delusion diagnosis stand, to live the quiet life it would buy her. For one long night, alone in that rented apartment, Lily actually considered it. Grief would have been easier than this. But somewhere in Adrian's handwriting, tucked into the last folder on the drive, was a line meant only for her. "If you're reading this, I need you to finish what I couldn't." That single sentence made the decision for her. And somewhere in those files, dated only weeks before their wedding, was a message he had written but never sent. He knew they were getting close. He knew that once his investigation surfaced, everyone connected to him would become a target, including the woman he was about to marry. So he made a choice most people would never have the courage to make. He asked Aurelia to do to him exactly what they had done to hundreds of others. He erased himself. Every employment record, every legal document, every digital fingerprint of Adrian Cole, gone by design, not by accident. A controlled disappearance meant to sever any connection between his enemies and the woman sleeping beside him on their wedding night. He hadn't vanished to escape her. He had vanished so that whoever came looking for him would find nothing to hold against her. Lily sat with that truth for a long time before she moved again. She took what she found to a journalist who had spent years chasing rumors about companies like Aurelia and never had the evidence to prove they were real. Within weeks, the story broke wide open across international news. Executives were arrested. Offshore accounts were frozen. A system built to erase people was, for the first time, forced into the light. Lily became something she never expected. Not a widow, not a woman who had lost her mind, but the one person whose testimony helped dismantle an empire built on erasing others. Marcus Webb testified too, once he understood there was finally somewhere safer to run than away. Reporters who had once buried Aurelia's story out of fear now fought for the byline that finally told it. Through it all, Lily kept the photograph she found in that box, Adrian and the woman he'd loved before her, the one Aurelia had erased years earlier. She never learned her full name. But when the case closed, she made sure the woman's file, buried deep in Aurelia's server records, was restored. Somewhere out there, a family finally understood what had happened to someone they spent years mourning as merely gone. It felt, to Lily, like the smallest way of finishing what Adrian had started long before she ever met him. Months passed. The company collapsed entirely. And on a quiet afternoon in early spring, a man sat down across from her at a small cafe, 2 blocks from her apartment. New face, in the way people notice without being able to say exactly what changed. New name on the coffee cup the barista handed him, but the same scar above his eyebrow, the same unhurried laugh. He didn't apologize because there was nothing left to apologize for. He simply reached across the table and took her hand, the way he had 100 times before, in a version of his life that officially never happened. The world never learned who Adrian Cole truly was. His name exists nowhere now. No birth record, no photograph, no digital trace for history to hold on to. To everyone else, he is simply a man who doesn't exist. But Lily remembers him. She remembers the wedding no one else can prove happened, the marriage no document will ever recognize, and the sacrifice hidden inside all of it. Because in the end, Adrian didn't lose his fortune to save her. He didn't lose his company, or his reputation, or even his freedom. He gave up the one thing every person is taught to protect above all else, his own identity, so that the woman he loved could keep hers. And maybe that's the quietest kind of love there is. The kind that asks for nothing in return, not even to be remembered by the world, as long as it's remembered by the one person who mattered.